Well, I think one of the great things is that Americans are seeing that all students are the right students for community colleges. I've always said that they are America's best kept secret, and hopefully now the secret's out.
When you mention and you advocate for community colleges, people come out of the woodwork. The stories are profound.
My community college was 4 classrooms behind the high school. That's how it got started. It was the perfect place for me to go.
They've made me the registered nurse that I am now, and I'm very happy and I'm very grateful for that.
I'm Billy Crystal, class of 1968, Nassau Community College. I got a great education. I settled into myself. And then, from there, it was a springboard into what I wanted to do. It's like having a space station. You know, you fly up there, you hang around for a month, and then you can zoom. You can go to Mars. You can go to any place in the universe. That's how I felt about Nassau. To me, it was that important.
I'm on my road to success, really, to reach my ultimate goal. It's incredible how many things I've done, and it's been, a year.
It was the only bridge I could afford, and it was a real bridge to the 4 years and and I went from there into the Marine Corps. When I got out of the Marine Corps, I had my first newspaper, got my first newspaper job, and I've been doing the same kind of stuff ever since.
It's a great American invention. These open-door institutions are accessible, they're affordable, and most willing to help every individual who wants to, change his or her life.
A lot of blue-collar workers are being retrained right here at community college. And I'm going back to school full-time now, and it's been a great opportunity and an experience as well.
Displaced steel worker. In a year's time, I could be certified, trained to do one of the most exciting jobs that are coming on the field today and put me back to work.
This is the way of the future. Community colleges are answering the needs of communities, and they're providing jobs. And students know that a job will be waiting for them when they finish.
Right, they're actually there to prepare you, to open up doors, and to show to employers that, guess what, this person, I've actually prepared it for you.
Everyone's there focused on you and your success. I thought it would be less of a one-to-one interaction, and here I feel like they're really focused on you. And all students feel that way. We have those small classes that really help the instructors focus on your needs.
Community colleges offer a tremendous education with very good professors at a cost that is affordable to average ordinary citizens in America today.
It changed my life. And today I sit here running this company with great confidence and great pride, but the most important thing is I never forget how I got here.
It just gave me the time to find myself. And then once you find yourself and you know what you want to do, then, hey, nothing can stop you.
I think it's more relevant now than it has ever been. Look, you've got to get educated if you're going to make it in this country. If you're going to make it in this world. A junior college from high school beyond is the perfect place to begin.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Albert Ojeda.
Good morning and welcome to the first ever White House Summit on Community Colleges. My name is Albert Ojeda, a graduate of Estrella Mountain Community College and a current student at Arizona State University. It is my honor and privilege to stand before you today as we focus our attention on the critical role that community colleges play in the realm of education and in the global workforce. I first met Dr. Biden last spring in Tempe, Arizona, during a listening session focusing on community colleges and transfer students to the four-year university. While I was there, I told her my story of how I stumbled upon the threshold of community college, and today she asked me to share that story with you. I was born and raised in Phoenix, Arizona, to a family of migrant farm workers who worked alongside the United Farm Worker founder Cesar Chavez. At the age of 5, my father passed away, and my mother, with no education and no skill, quickly fell into a lifestyle of addiction. At the age of 6 years old, and after roaming place to place and with no stable home, me and my brother and my sister decided to call my aunt and my uncle to come pick us up. And without hesitation, they immediately took us in, despite their young age. and the new financial responsibility that they would have to endure. And in that home, I was instilled with the values of respect, service, and the belief that if you worked hard enough at something, that you could accomplish your goals. And they're here with me today. But as high school graduation neared and my time and attention began to shift away from my education, and I was more concerned about having fun and thinking that I knew everything in the world. As a naive young adult, college education was not the priority in my life. But I began to see my life head in the direction that I told myself that I would never go. So one night, about 2 a.m. in the morning, and without anything productive going on in my life, I came up with the idea to register for classes at Estrella Mountain Community College. And I was skeptical that I would even show up to these classes or even be able to afford the tuition. And I just completed the online application anyway. But when I started Estrella Mountain Community College, I began to notice that my thought process began to be challenged and my passion for education was reignited. I began to see the world in a whole different perspective. Estrella Mountain not only provided a place to study and learn, but it provided an institution that truly cared about my future. The advisors, the professors, and the support staff of my community college work hard to develop relationships with their students and genuinely care about their academic success. So I stand before you this morning, a product of community colleges, a true testament of the significance these institutions play in our communities, in our country, and ultimately in the world. So without further ado, it is my honor and privilege to humbly introduce a woman who truly has a passion for higher education, a woman who knows the ever so valuable role of community college, a woman who invested in my life personally, and who I admire and respect. So please help me welcome the Second Lady of the United States and community college teacher, Dr. Jill Biden.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the first ever White House Summit on Community Colleges. I'm Jill Biden, and I'm proud to stand here today as a community college professor. This is an historic and exciting opportunity for all of us in the community college world. For years, I have said that community colleges are one of America's best-kept secrets. Well, with the President of the United States shining a light on us, I think that secret is out. Today's summit is an important next step in our efforts to meet the President's goal of having the best educated, most competitive workforce in the world by the end of this decade. As we meet here today, families all across our country are struggling. We see that struggle firsthand in community colleges. We see people who are determined to build a better life for themselves and their families, no matter how hard it is. Today, community colleges are the largest, fastest growing, most affordable segment of America's higher education system. For generations, these schools have been an option for many students who didn't have other options. Recent immigrants, working adults, or students who could not afford or were not quite ready for a four-year institution. Community colleges are uniquely American, places where anyone who walks through the door is one step closer to realizing the American dream. These schools are flexible and innovative. For that reason, countries around the world are looking at community colleges as a model to increase workforce preparedness and college graduation among their own citizens. Community colleges are uniquely positioned to provide the education and training that will prepare students for the jobs in the 21st century. Schools are forming partnerships with businesses in their communities, ensuring that students are trained for jobs that need to be filled. Getting Americans back to work is America's great challenge, and community colleges are critically important to preparing graduates for those jobs. We are here today because community colleges are entering a new day in America. And here's why. For more and more people, community colleges are the way to the future. They're giving real opportunity to students who otherwise wouldn't have it. They're giving hope to families who thought the American dream was slipping away. They are equipping Americans with the skills and expertise that are relevant to the emerging jobs of the future. They're opening doors for the middle class at a time when the middle class has seen so many doors closed to them. As the president said, the nations that out-educate us today will out-compete us tomorrow. That is why he is committed to increasing the number of college graduates in America so that we will once again lead the world in the percentage of our citizens with a college degree. Community colleges are absolutely critical to reaching this goal and to ensuring our country's economic prosperity in the future. That is why the President has also challenged all of us to graduate an additional 5 million community college graduates by 2020. Reaching that goal will take the commitment of everyone in this room and all of the hard-working community college leaders, faculty, and students you represent. Community college students and graduates across the country are working in jobs that will enable us to expand our green economy, provide Americans with the excellent health care they deserve, and rebuild our country's infrastructure. These are the students like the ones I visited in their state-of-the-art radiology lab last spring at Delgado Community College in New Orleans, or the woman I met who, after 16 years as a lab tech, came to Kingsborough Community College in New York for retraining and graduated in nursing with a job offer waiting. I meet students and learn about industry partnerships on every campus I visit that reinforce what we in this room know well. Community colleges are at the center of Americans' effort to educate our way to a better economy. I've been a teacher for nearly 3 decades, and I have spent the past 17 years teaching at a community college. I know the power of community colleges to change lives. I have seen the wisdom of Yeats, who said that, quote, "Education is not the filling of the pail, but the lighting of a fire." All of the teachers here today know the magic of lighting that fire in the soul of a student. But as I work hard every day to inspire students, it is ultimately they who inspire me. I'm inspired by students who overcome significant odds just to show up. Workers who have returned to school to improve their job prospects, mothers who juggle jobs and childcare while preparing for a new career, and students who spend 2 years at a community college before transferring to a 4-year school. At the President's request, I have visited community colleges around the country to see innovative job partnerships and creative student support programs. At each school, I hear stories about the perseverance of community college students to make a better life for themselves and their families. Students like Albert, who inspire me and who I am thrilled to welcome here today. You're amazing, Albert. The programs are different, the students are different, but the aspirations are the same. These students are working hard to get the training and education they need to make their lives better. They know that education can open the door to a world of new opportunities. They are students like the mother who shared her experience with us on the White House website of working towards a degree while raising 3 children and straddling financial challenges. Now employed and the holder of a bachelor's and a master's degree, she wrote, Community colleges didn't just change my life, they gave me my life. Community colleges do that every day. When the support and the attention of the people in this room, we can serve more students and serve them better than ever. Our challenge is not just to get students into college, but to keep them there and to graduate them faster with the skills they need to succeed in the American workforce. This is the moment for community colleges to shine. Teaching is my life's work. I am grateful and tremendously proud to work with a president and vice president who value that work. President Obama is committed to restoring the promise of the American education system. He recognizes the value of community colleges and is investing in them so that they are the best that they can be. His leadership is inspiring to all of us who believe that each and every American deserves the opportunity to realize his full potential. I am honored to introduce a leader who shares our belief in the power of the community college, President Barack Obama.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. Everybody, please have a seat. Thank you so much. I want to acknowledge some of the folks who are here, who are making an incredible contribution to this effort. First of all, our Secretary of Education, Arne Duncan, is here. Our Secretary of Labor, Hilda Solis, is here. Someone who cares deeply about our veterans and the education that they receive, our Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Admiral Mike Mullen, and his wife, Ms. Mullen, are here. Representative Brett Guthrie, Republican of Kentucky, is in the House and has been doing great work on this. And obviously, I am thrilled to not only see Jill Biden here, but also Albert Ojeda, who introduced Jill Biden, because I think the story he tells is representative of so many incredible stories all across the country. I'm so grateful for Jill being willing to lead today's summit. First of all, because she has to spend time putting up with Joe. And that's a big enough task. Then to take this one on, too, on behalf of the administration is extraordinarily significant. I do not think she's doing it for the administration. She's doing it because of the passion she has for community colleges. Jill has devoted her life to education. As she said, she's been a teacher for nearly 3 decades, although you can't tell it by looking at her. A community college professor for 17 years. I want it on the record, Jill is not playing hooky today. The only reason she's here is because her college president gave her permission to miss class. And this morning, between appearing on the Today Show, receiving briefings from her staff, and hosting the summit, she was actually grading papers in her White House office. So I think it's clear why I asked Jill to travel the country visiting community colleges, because as she knows personally, these colleges are the unsung heroes of America's education system. They may not get the credit they deserve, they may not get the same resources as other schools, but they provide a gateway to millions of Americans to good jobs and a better life. These are places where young people can continue their education without taking on a lot of debt. These are places where workers can gain new skills to move up in their careers. These are places where anyone with a desire to learn and to grow can take a chance on a brighter future for themselves and their families, whether that's a single mom or a returning soldier or an aspiring entrepreneur. And community colleges aren't just the key to the future of their students, they're also one of the keys to the future of our country. We are in a global competition to lead in the growth industries of the 21st century. And that leadership depends on a well-educated, highly skilled workforce. We know, for example, that in the coming years, jobs requiring at least an associate's degree are going to grow twice as fast as jobs that don't require college. We will not fill those jobs or keep those jobs on our shores without community colleges. So it was no surprise when one of the main recommendations of my Economic Advisory Board, who I met with yesterday, was to expand education and job training. These are executives from some of America's top companies. Their businesses need a steady supply of people who can step into jobs involving a lot of technical knowledge and skill. They understand the importance of making sure we're preparing folks for the jobs of the future. In fact, throughout our history, whenever we faced economic challenges, we've responded by seeking new ways to harness the talents of our people. And that's one of the primary reasons that we have prospered. In the 19th century, we built public schools and land-grant colleges, transforming not just education, but our entire economy. In the 20th century, we passed the GI Bill and invested in math and science, helping to unleash a wave of innovation that helped to forge the great American middle class. But in recent years, we failed to live up to this legacy, especially in higher education. In just a decade, we've fallen from first to ninth in the proportion of young people with college degrees. That not only represents a huge waste of potential, in the global marketplace, it represents a threat to our position as the world's leading economy. As far as I'm concerned, America does not play for second place, and we certainly don't play for ninth. So I've set a goal. By 2020, America will once again lead the world in producing college graduates. And I believe community colleges will play a huge part in meeting this goal by producing an additional 5 million degrees and certificates in the next 10 years. That's why last year I launched the American Graduation Initiative. I promised that we would end wasteful subsidies to big banks for student loans and instead use that money to make college more affordable and to make a historic investment in community colleges. And after a tough fight, we passed those reforms. And today we're using this money towards the interest of higher education in America. And this is helping us modernize community colleges at a critical time because many of these schools are under pressure to cut costs and to cap enrollments and scrap courses even as demand has soared. It's going to make it possible for colleges to better harness technology in the classroom and beyond. And it's going to promote reform as colleges compete for funding by improving graduation rates and matching courses to the needs of local businesses and making sure that when a graduate is handed a diploma, it means that she or he are ready for a career. We're also helping students succeed by making college more affordable. So we've increased student aid by thousands of dollars. We've simplified the loan application process. And we're making it easier for students to pay back their loans by limiting payments to 10% of their income. But reaching the 2020 goal that I've set is not just going to depend on government. It also depends on educators and students doing their part, and it depends on businesses and non-for-profits working with colleges to connect students with jobs. So that's why we're holding this summit. That's why I'm asking my Economic Advisory Board to reach out to employers across the country and come up with new ways for businesses and community colleges to work together. Based on this call to action, yesterday we announced a new partnership called Skills for America's Future. And the idea is simple. Businesses and community colleges work together to match the work in the classroom with the needs of the boardroom. And already businesses from PG&E to UTC to the Gap have announced their support, as have business leaders like my friend Penny Pritzker and the Aspen Institute's Walter Isaacson. And I hope that the companies, schools, and nonprofits that all of you lead will take part. Today, we can also announce the Gates Foundation is starting a new 5-year initiative to raise community college graduation rates. This is critically important because more than half of those who enter community colleges fail to either earn a 2-year degree or transfer to earn a 4-year degree. So we want to thank Melinda Gates, who's here, for that terrific contribution. And the Aspen Institute and several leading foundations are launching a competitive prize for community college excellence. It's going to shine a spotlight on community colleges delivering truly exceptional results. Places that often don't get a lot of attention but make a huge difference in their students' lives. So we're investing in community colleges. We're making college more affordable, and we're bringing together businesses, nonprofits, and schools to train folks for the jobs of a new century. Now, all of this will help ensure that we continue to lead the global economy, but only if we maintain this commitment to education that's always been central to our success. That's why I so strongly disagree with the economic plan that was released last week by the Republican leaders in Congress, which would actually cut education by 20%. It would reduce or eliminate financial aid for 8 million college students, and it would leave community colleges without the resources they need to meet the goals we've talked about today. Instead, this money would help pay for a $700 billion tax cut that only 2% of the wealthiest Americans would ever see, an average of $100,000 for every millionaire and billionaire in the country, and that just doesn't make sense. Not for students, not for our economy. Think about it. China isn't slashing education by 20% right now. India is not slashing education by 20%. We are in a fight for the future, a fight that depends on education. And cutting aid for 8 million students or scaling back our commitment to community colleges, that's like unilaterally disarming our troops right as they head to the front lines. So we obviously have to get serious about our deficit. That's why after decades of profligacy, my administration reported pay-as-you-go rules, proposed a 3-year freeze on non-security spending. That's why we've formed a bipartisan deficit reduction commission. But what we can't do is fund tax cuts for those who don't need it by slashing education for those who do. There's a better way for us to do this. And I want to work together with everybody concerned, Republican and Democrat, to figure that out. To use an expression familiar to those of you who are from the Midwest, you don't eat your seed corn. We can't accept less investment in our young people if our country is going to move forward. It would mean giving up on the promise of so many people who might not be able to pursue an education, like the millions of students at community colleges across this country. So I just want to use as an example Derek Blumke, who's here today. Where's Derek? Right here. Derek spent 6 years in the Air Force, 3 deployments in the Afghan theater, putting his life at risk to keep this country safe. And when he returned, he started classes at his local community college in northern Michigan. Now, apparently, what I'm told is he wasn't sure whether he was smart enough to do the work. And he also was concerned that he wouldn't get the support that he needed. And he was wrong on both fronts. His professors not only helped him transition from the military, even as he continued to serve in the Michigan Air National Guard, but also helped him to earn his associate's degree with honors. Then he transferred to the University of Michigan, go Blue, where he graduated just a few weeks ago. And while he was there, he co-founded Student Veterans of America to help returning veterans like himself. So, congratulations, Derek. Or we can look to the example set by Albert Ojeda, who just spoke to you. He didn't have any advantages in life. Grew up in a tough neighborhood in Phoenix. Lost his father to violence, lost his mother to prison, but that didn't stop him from pursuing an education. It didn't stop him from attending community college, become an honors student, become the first member of his family to graduate from college. There's so many folks out there like Derek and Albert. And I think about the many community college students who've written letters to me or emails through whitehouse.gov about how important community college has been to them. One person said he had been laid off and decided to return to school after 17 years. And attending community college literally helped save my life. That's what he said. I can not only see an associate's degree next year, but a new future filled with possibilities for the first time. A new future filled with possibilities. That's why we're here today. That's the promise of an education, not just for any one student, but for our entire country. And that's why it's so important that we work together on behalf of community colleges. And an education system that harnesses the talents and hard work of every single American. So thank you for the incredible work that each and every one of you do out there in schools, your business folks who are supporting these community colleges, the students who are doing so much to contribute to our country. Let's get busy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President, for your steadfast commitment to community colleges and to the millions of students they educate every day. I want to acknowledge and thank all of those individuals and schools who have contacted us and are watching this broadcast live on whitehouse.gov. We appreciate your participation and will continue to incorporate your comments and feedback into our ongoing work. I also want to take a moment to thank the members of the media for joining us here today. You have the power to engage Americans in these critical discussions. So thank you for making education a focus of your reporting. We have so many outstanding participants here today, like Albert, who honored me with such a wonderful introduction. He's a great example of a student who has seized the opportunity offered by a community college education. I would now like to introduce an extraordinary woman who, along with her husband, is committed to ensuring that each individual has the opportunity to live up to his or her potential. The Gates Foundation recognizes that education is the great equalizer, and they are putting their substantial resources and ingenuity behind efforts to prepare students all along the education spectrum. I'd like to introduce a woman who I've really enjoyed getting to know, Melinda Gates. Melinda?
Well, thanks, Dr. Biden, because you not only stand up in front of your class in Northern Virginia Community College, but you stand up for students here at an event like this. And I think that is really incredible. You know, for me, it's a great honor to be here today. Bill and I have been at work in the K-12 part of the education system now for over 10 years. And I have to say, as we would travel out and try and learn about the issues with the students in K-12, we kept hearing about this difficult transition onto college, community college. And we started visiting community colleges, and Bill and I said to ourselves, these are these hidden gems of our society that make society tick. And yet every time there's a college conversation in the United States, we seem to be talking about the elite four-year institutions. So I am thrilled today to be here at this event to have this focus on community colleges. I think President Obama and Dr. Biden understand that community colleges really create opportunity, particularly for low-income and minority youth in our country. They understand that our society has changed. The so-called traditional students really are not the basis of society now. It's the non-traditional students, the students who are more like 26 years old and holding down 2 jobs and have a child at home. Those are making up the majority of our educational system today, and so I'm thrilled that that's what we're here to focus on. I also want to congratulate the community college presidents, because you all have been at this work for a very long time, and you've spent your careers fighting for students. And the very fact of this summit proves that you're starting to win that fight. And most importantly, I want to express my admiration for Albert Ojeda and his family. In fact, I'd like to ask his aunt and uncle to please stand up because I believe they're here. Thanks for believing in Albert and in the American college system, that it works. Albert's tenacity to get through what he's gone through is so often the story I hear from other community college students. What they're doing to even drive themselves to a community college campus today, or to raise their young child while they're getting a degree or hold down a couple of jobs, it's really something. When I was growing up, the US led the world in the number of college degrees awarded. Now we're 12th. Times have changed, and we've got to change too. Almost half of American college students attend community colleges, but a relatively small percentage of those students actually graduate with a certificate or a degree that helps them get on to a good job. So our task as a society now is to get that percentage up. We have to have a conversation that's about college completion and make sure that all the incentives are in place so that students who walk in the front door of our community colleges complete with that degree or certificate they set out to get. Or if their goal is to transfer to a four-year institution, that's great too, but let's talk about completion. So to that end, I'd like to announce the Gates Foundation is launching a $35 million grant program called Completion by Design. Our investment is to help community colleges redesign every aspect of the student experience to help students reach that ultimate goal, which is a degree or certificate that matters in the job market. There are over 1,000 community colleges in the US, and most of them, when you talk to them, they're doing incredibly innovative things around their students and around jobs. Some have figured out how to streamline the enrollment process so it's much quicker for a student to enroll and to get the financial aid they need. Others have sped up that remediation process so that students don't have to spend a long time relearning a subject that they learned in high school. Just remediate the parts they need and let them move on. And other schools have simplified the transfer process. So the next step for community colleges is to put all these pieces of puzzle together, from enrollment to guidance through a course selection to remediation if that's what's needed, and also to link in technology. If we link in technology and have hybrid learning, students won't always have to drive to that community college campus to get the classes they need. They can do some of the work away from the community colleges. So I think we can even develop learn and earn programs so students can make progress towards their credential while they're also holding down a job. So at the Foundation, we're committed to collaborating with community colleges as they do this hard work of developing the courses and changing things in their community colleges so they can significantly increase their graduation rate and so they can disseminate the best ideas of what's actually working for them in their community. In this country, hard work is supposed to pay off, and I'm excited to see that there's a dynamic group of people who've come here today to guarantee that it pays off for young adults who attend community colleges and who work so hard, like Albert, to make their dreams come true. Thank you.
Thank you, Melinda, for the important work you are doing and for joining us here today. I would now like to welcome to stage another amazing woman who has worked tirelessly on behalf of the President to bring together businesses and community colleges to dramatically improve partnerships between them. Skills for America is a national initiative to encourage employers and labor unions to work in partnership with community colleges to maximize workforce development strategies, job training programs, and ultimately job placement. Please welcome a member of the President's Economic Recovery Advisory Board, Penny Pritzker.
Thank you, Dr. Biden. It is a thrill to be here today. As Melinda referenced, our community colleges are wonderful assets. Yesterday, the President's Economic Recovery Advisory Board proposed and the President endorsed a new initiative that is designed to make our community colleges even more effective. The initiative is Skills for America's Future. It's a collaboration of business, labor, the federal government agencies, and community colleges. Its goal is to better educate students and workers so that they can earn a credential or a degree with real economic value that can lead to a job and to a solid career pathway. During this past year, the President's Economic Recovery Advisory Board convened meetings and heard leaders in many different industries: healthcare, financial services, small business, energy and utilities, service and retail, technology, manufacturing, and construction. The PRAB Subcommittee on Education and Training identified public-private partnerships as one of the best ways to improve the skills of America's workers. We also learned that the private sector is eager and willing to help. 5 major corporations have already joined this effort. They are Accenture, Gap Inc., McDonald's, Pacific Gas and Electric, and United Technologies Corporation. And we're just starting. Skills for America's Future will be part of the Economic Opportunities Program at the nonprofit Aspen Institute and will work closely with the President's new interagency task force. Some of the initial goals are: 1, to recruit additional private sector and labor leaders to build a national network of high-impact partnerships at community colleges, basically bringing the program to scale. 2nd is to create a certification for best-in-class partnerships. We want to also provide a national voice for effectiveness of those partnerships. We'll work with the Interagency Task Force to align workforce programs funded by the Department of Labor and the Department of Education with market forces, and work with the task force to develop stackable credentials, as well as a better use of technology, as Melinda referenced. Our last initial goal is to ensure that every state has at least one high-impact partnership between industry and a community college. Our real goal is that every state has multiple partnerships. We can't begin soon enough. We hope to spark a movement nationwide to strengthen America's workforce. Putting resources into the skills and development of workers is one of the best investments that our nation can make. Thank you, Dr. Biden, for inviting me to be here. Thanks.
Thank you, Penny. I'm so grateful to see leaders from so many segments of our society coming together to express their confidence in the ability of community colleges to lead the way into the next century. Our work here is so important to identifying what is working and what areas need additional attention. We're going to break up into smaller groups so that a robust exchange of ideas will be easier. We are looking at 6 specific areas today: industry partnerships, college completion, pathways to baccalaureate degrees, financial aid, military and veterans programs, and community colleges of the future. At the conclusion of these breakouts, we will reconvene to share our work and consider our next steps. Please follow members of our staff who will direct you to your breakouts. I'm planning to stop by each one of them to listen in, and I will look forward to seeing you again at the wrap-up session. And since I am a teacher, don't think you're going to leave without homework. Thank you.